Lara was standing in the middle of a crowd under the glowing lights of Dirty December concerts, watching couples sway to the music, and she realized something. She had become the best plus one to all her friends' relationships, and yet she was single again. It's funny how for someone like her, who's always the life of the party, love seemed to be the one dance she could not learn. And trust me, she tried. But Lagos in December had a way of reminding you that love was in the air for everyone but you. Lara didn't expect to find love during Dirty December, not with the way the year had gone. One bad date after another. Endless meetings with men who either lied about who they were or just didn't care enough. To say she had given up was putting it mildly. She was done. But the thing about love, it always stood to find you when you least expect it. And he found her on a night she wasn't even looking. It was the third week of December, and negotiations were grooving. Parties, events, concerts, every corner of the city was alive. But while most people were excited about Dirty December, Lara was disconnected from it all. After all, how many parties could you go to without feeling like you were just filling up the emptiness? She had gotten an invitation to yet another Lagos in December rooftop party. The type where everyone is dressed up, pretending to have the time of their lives. She was going to cancel, but her best friend Tina wouldn't let her hear the end of it if she didn't show up. Babe, it's Dirty December, she screamed over the phone. This is our chance to enjoy life. Leave the work stress behind for one night and just come have fun. Who knows, you might even meet someone interesting. She rolled her eyes at Tina's words. Meet someone interesting in Lagos. But she eventually gave in. So she put on her red dress, one that made her feel like she owned the world. High heels, bold red lipstick, and she was ready to face yet another Lagos party. The rooftop was packed with Lagosians showing off, music blasting from every corner, and the thick air of pretense mixed with excitement. She was nursing a cocktail, watching everyone else paired up, when her phone buzzed. It was Toby. She had sworn never to pick his call again. She stared at his name on the screen, remembering how he ghosted her for months, only to resurface with a weak excuse and a "Hey stranger." She sighed and hit decline. But as soon as she did, she felt a familiar sadness. Maybe it wasn't just him. Maybe love was simply not for her. And that's when she saw him. A tall, handsome guy standing by the bar at the other end of the rooftop. He looked out of place, like he planned to be somewhere else, but ended up in the middle of this wild Lagos crowd. He had the look of someone who was tired of trying, tired of being disappointed, but there was something else about him, something intriguing. He wasn't checking his phone like everyone else. He was just watching, observing. She greeted a few familiar faces and ordered a cocktail at the bar on the other end, deciding to stay close to the door in case she needed an early escape. She had just taken her first sip when someone bumped into her, spilling half her drink down her dress. "Oh shoot, I'm so sorry," a deep voice cut through the noise. She turned, ready to unleash some well-deserved frustration. But then, it was him, standing 2 inches in front of her. He looked even better up front, a bit too good-looking to be real, with an awkward smile that made her chuckle instead of scream. She grabbed a napkin to wipe her arm and her dress. "It's fine, it's just drink." No. Let me get you another one," he insisted. "It's the least I can do for being so clumsy. And I thought I'll be the one making a mess tonight." He smiled, and for a moment, she forgot the noise around them. He was easy to talk to. His name was Femi, and unlike most guys she met in Lagos, he didn't feel the need to boast about his job or how much he made. Instead, they joked about the craziness of the season, the overly extravagant parties, and how Dirty December had somehow become a competition for who could attend the most events in a month. "What's your reason for being here?" she asked, sipping her new drink. "I got dragged by my cousin," Femi admitted. "I was planning to stay home tonight, but she wasn't having it. I'm more of a quiet evening guy, you know." She nodded, pretending not to notice the butterflies in her stomach. The quiet evening guy in Lagos. Right. They stood there for a moment, strangers in the middle of a noisy crowd. Yet somehow, it felt like the most peaceful part of Lagos. As they talked, she learned that he was disillusioned with love. He only recently got out of a long-term relationship that had ended messily. They joked about how they could start a club for people who were overloved, and he laughed a deep, genuine laugh that made her heart dance. They spent the entire night together, laughing, dancing, and talking like they had their own secret language, moving from one conversation to the next, like they had known each other for years. It wasn't fast, it wasn't rushed, it just felt Right. He was funny, sarcastic, and yet there was a calmness about him that was refreshing to see in a city where everyone seemed to be in a rush for something. It was close to midnight when someone announced they'll be lighting fireworks on the rooftop to close the night with a bang. She wasn't in the mood for more noise, but Femi grabbed her hand and pulled her closer to the area of the rooftop where the view was best. The fireworks burst into the sky, lighting up Lagos in a way she hadn't seen before, and she loved it. They didn't speak for a while, just watching the sky light up in brilliant colors. And when the final burst of fireworks exploded into the shape of her heart, cliché, I know, but she couldn't help but laugh out loud. I guess that's how sorry, Femi said, turning to her with a flattering smirk on his face. Sorry for what? That we should see each other again. Now, let me tell you something. Lara has had her own fair share of cheesy Lagos guys trying to use lines like that. But with Femi, it didn't feel forced. It felt real. Like, maybe she was supposed to meet him that night. They exchanged numbers, and true to his word, Femi didn't disappear like so many others. The next day, he called. Not a text, not a WhatsApp message, an actual phone call. And before they knew it, they were seeing each other regularly. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. There was a time she found out he still occasionally spoke with his ex. That brought back her trust issues. And then there were arguments about their differences. He was a laid-back guy, thriving in the fast-paced energy of his career, which meant he worked a lot. They had different worlds, and blending them wasn't always easy. But she couldn't complain a lot because they were dating without dating. Nothing was official yet. It was an unpleasant situationship. Like a unpleasant situationship. Nothing was official yet. And Lagos, as always, had its own way of complicating things even more. One day, as they sat at a cafe by the water, Femi's phone buzzed. He hesitated before answering, and she felt the energy shift. It was his ex. They were talking again, trying to work things out. She should have walked away then. Should have told him that she wasn't about to get caught up in someone else's unfinished business. But instead, she found herself saying, "It's okay, I get it." He looked at her surprised. "You do?" "Yeah," she said. "Sometimes, things aren't as simple as you want them to be." They agreed to take a step back to keep things light. But deep down, she knew she was already in too deep. Over the next few days, Femi and Lara kept seeing each other. It wasn't anything official, just two people enjoying each other's company, navigating the madness of December in Lagos. As the days went by, Lara couldn't ignore her growing feelings for him. One evening, they went out to watch the sunset. He turned to her and said, "You make me feel like I could actually be happy again. Like maybe love isn't as complicated as I've been making it." Her heart swelled at his words, but she was afraid because she knew what was coming. "Femi, what about her? Your ex? What are you going to do?" He sighed, running his hand through his hair. "I don't know. I thought I wanted to fix things, but now I don't know anymore." And there it was, the messy, complicated truth she had been avoiding. They were both standing on the edge of something real, but neither of them knew how to take the leap. One night, after a particularly heated argument about his long work hours, she tried to focus and spend time with her friends, a bit of work, anything but Femi, but he was always there at the back of her mind. She wondered if they were just too different to make it work. She was standing in her living room, staring at her phone, debating whether to send a text to end things with Femi. It would be easier to walk away now, she thought. But just as she was about to send the text, her doorbell rang. She had almost given up on love, convinced that it wasn't meant for her. But there he was, standing at the door, waiting for her to open it. So she did. "I'm not giving up on us," he said, his voice steady. "I know it's hard right now because of my work and all. I'm learning to fix that. And I know you're scared, but I'm here for the long run, if you'll have me." She stared at him speechless. No one had ever fought for her like that before. She realized something. Love wasn't always going to be easy. It wasn't going to be perfect, wrapped in a neat little bowl. It could be messy, challenging, and sometimes even scary. But what they had was real, honest, and reassuring. And that in itself was enough. They didn't solve all their problems that night, but they decided to try, to really try, to communicate better, to make time for each other, despite their busy work, and to trust that what they had was worth fighting for. Fast forward a few months later, and here they are, still figuring things out, but together. Love found her where she wasn't looking, during a season where all she expected was parties and noise. And while Dirty December was wild, the love that came with it was the calm after the storm. So, if you're like Lara, almost giving up on love, tired of the games and the heartbreak, Don't close your heart just yet, because love, it always seems to find you when you're not looking. If you enjoyed the story and the narration, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Merry Christmas!
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!